This is one of my favorite poems because I don't write very consciously, and I don't sit down and say I want to write a poem and that I want it to be about this. Things come to me, and the best poems come as gifts. And but I love Rafael Alberti, Spanish poet, who wrote this wonderful book about the angels. And I always wanted to write an angel poem. I spent years and years trying to figure out how to write an angel poem, and then finally one came, and it's called The Shameless Angels. And it starts with a little quotation from Wallace Stevens. "Yet I am the necessary angel of earth, since in my sight you see the earth again." Love is a pleasure akin to salvation, because so much wanting bends our light, weighs it to form, makes us present in the smallest flicker of desire. Sudden motions of sun, the idiot calligraphy of moon, make it right to have sex, to need each other and forget the mortality of descending to live vicariously once more. We cannot feel unless you feel, can't hold shape until you gaze upon us. Like children's shame, we remain unseen to survive. But if you touch us, skin ignites. With the sweat like salty stones the sea possesses and recedes from. Down a cliff of wings, the indrawn gravity of breath hisses one more little death, mingling almond smells and flesh. Bodiless no longer, we take your place and fill our mouths with light. Then there is nothing else but this, going down, down, uttering soft, compliant moans, almost fully human. I don't know what time I started, Mike. I want to.
Me either.
Well, don't want to, drag it out here. But this is a poem that came as a gift. I woke up one night. The last 10 or 12 years of my life have been pretty crazy. And I woke up one night and grabbed my notebook and just started writing, and I didn't know what was going on. And this poem came out almost word for word intact. And this is what I mean by a gift. It's just so amazing when that happens. It comes from, this is what makes me believe that poetry is in touch with that spiritual creative thing that's beyond us, beyond our consciousness. And this is called Resurrection for Julia, it happened in 1970. It's a true story. And it's subtitled An Informal Sonnet for My Daughter, Megan Ray. Walking across a bridge in Washington, D.C., late one night in May, she told me how, tripping on LSD, she jumped from the railing exactly where we stood onto a concrete highway 60 feet below. She said, I don't know, to fly. I was so alone. To try to walk on air, maybe die. I don't know how, why I survived. Ankles crushed, both hips blown, shattered feet, legs, knees. A year's intensive care, bone grafts, braces, multiple surgeries, as we stared together down the sheer and plunging arch of her shunted suicide. I'm ashamed to say I couldn't see the depth of honesty in her breath or recognize the gift her pale eyes gave me. Too young, I didn't realize some deaths are not our own, or guess how far inside herself she fell, or know how deep the spirit in us goes that resurrects and brings us back from our mistakes towards formlessness. But if I could travel in time the way I travel in mind, I'd cross into that night and hold her until light broke through the wall of our bodies. I'd kiss her gently and ask to be forgiven, to receive the life she offered the unknown in me. Her body's intimate, broken words, fragile and weightless and brief, as milkweed seeds in air, bright, sudden and dark as fireflies in May. This is a poem for someone that I love very dearly who died of cancer. It was written while she was alive with cancer, and it was my first brush with cancer, my first real touch with it, until I was diagnosed with it myself a year ago. But anyway, it's a little dark, but it's called Arbor. Alone in the ripening arbor, her dark flowering cells bloom without warning. And who could know the exact hour that such black flowers would arise and metastasize inside the blossoming orchard of her body? In the dusky, secret garden, her metaplasia breeds. These genetic seeds of unknown origins white bones bear, where once, born to breathe, her light's internal energy, our children were conceived. Holy God of stars, see how she mirrors your galaxies. The outward expansion, growing, bursting, burning, life, all life, ever more abundantly, so naturally vibrant, fertile, and urgently alive, it kills. Oh, I don't know where to go.
Anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Read something dark and serious.
Dark and serious? Okay.
Before I change.
And I'll dedicate this dark and serious poem to all the beautiful women in the world. It's called In Vain. I told her she was beautiful, but she refused. Her eyes had the blue luster of coral, her hands the fluttering faith of wings. I told her she had the luster, her eyes fluttered, her hands refused. And yet the Atlantic was beautiful, infused with an intensity of blue, usually only associated with tropical South Sea islands. As I tried to tell her how beautifully she was infused with islands, blue as an intensity, but she, the sea, refused. Her eyes like wings, her hands infused, her lips anemones with red coral, usually only associated with an oily blue Pacific luster. She refused, and yet I told her she was tropical, Atlantic, beautiful, infused, with seas fluttering faithfully past South Sea islands of living coral and hovering wings. Her hands, her lips, her eyes. I tried, but she refused. And yet the ocean, a luster usually associated only tropically with blue, coral, anemones, wings, was an intensity, Pacific and infused.